we are back. This is the Kingtif Network. Thank y'all for tuning in. We got a special guest in the building. We got Shuicide Holla in the building. How we doing today?
I'm doing good, man. Always in good spirits, B.
For sure. All right, this is the first actual interview in our new podcasting space. So shout out to CEO Marie. I appreciate you for having us. This is a dope space. We feeling real good today.
Definitely. Always, you got to keep the vibe right. You know what I mean?
Keep the vibe.
That's the only
right.
way you're going to get anything positive coming your way.
That's a fact. So, Shuicide Holla. And I'm a little backstory. I actually got to work through him, through Crisis. Shout out Crisis. With the Cleveland Monday Night Raw. So we'll start there. Actually, what made you do that? Because we're on round 3. We did 3 of them already. What made you kind of do that?
Well, initially, like when I was looking for a performance venue, something that, because I always had a great time at the Grove, always throughout the year.
Absolutely.
So when I was looking after the pandemic, like I need somewhere to perform something, and I wanted to be like full capacity. Like I wanted it open because remember the world still hadn't opened all the way up yet. So I'm like, all right, the pandemic is fully over. We're going to go ahead and hit them with a joint. And when I reached out, it was really only like a few options I had.
Okay.
So me being a creative in general, I went with one of the best options and I made a theme out of it.
Okay. So you had a good... Okay, so they was like, okay, we only have Mondays open, Tuesdays or something like that.
And made a theme out of it, and I figured like when I did episode 1, which was I've headlined myself, I brought in some of my cool coast homies and some of the homies that I've been making music with all the time. Some of the guys I went to school with and things like that. The turnout was so good. I'm like, I'm just such a giving dude, an empathic dude. I'm like, man, I want this for some more people.
Yeah. Cause you put what 36 already?
We already on 3, so yeah, it's up to like almost 40 artists already. And you got to think, I've only met maybe 2.
Yeah. Wow. So you're doing this all remote.
From out of state.
From out of state. That's huge. A lot of people don't even care enough to do that. And you put people in place to where it actually runs well. Shout out to Crisis. Shout out to
many components. It's too many to name actually. But yeah.
So how did you feel about performing on the first one? Because I didn't actually get to see that one.
Excellent. I mean, music is what I do. I'm just at the point where it's just like I have nothing to prove to nobody. Like I'm really battling Shu at this point. So it's like I'm going so crazy, like in my own sense, as far as my journey and my creativeness, that when I get on the stage, it's just a different experience. I've never really seen people when I get out on that stage. I just go out and I feel energy.
Yeah.
So the more energy I'm getting, the harder I'm going right back at them.
Okay.
So episode, of course, I felt amazing. It was an amazing turnout. I have I have multiple footages of it on my page, Instagram.
Absolutely.
But that's why I wanted it for more. I'm like, man, I want this for some more people. You get what I mean?
That experience, that exposure.
Yeah, it was mad love. Like I felt excellent, and this my first show back.
That was your first show? Got you.
That's since December of 19.
Wow. So how did you feel about that?
Amazing. Like it was.
Were you fatigued at all? Were you?
Nah. I just hone my energy. Like this energy, the same energy that I utilize on the stage is no different than energy I've been harnessing since 16, 17 years old when I went and did some real crazy things for the city and the culture, you know what I mean, before even music.
Let's start then. Let's start it, because you've been doing this. I always tell y'all that when this is the first time I'm meeting somebody. So this is the first time me meeting you. This is the first time the royal family gets to meet you. So we really want to introduce who you are.
Okay.
We kind of introduced how we kind of got connected, but now I want to get to your story.
Who is Shuicide Holla, man. So if we're gonna go there, if we're gonna go there, then we gotta go back to the beginning for y'all to even understand how I became Shuicide Holla.
That part.
So we're gonna take it back. I'm gonna make it swift for y'all because it's really not even too much to sugarcoat about it. We go back to as far back as I can remember with my real family, 5 other siblings. I was about 4 years old, 93rd and Anderson, the slums. You know what I mean? Like nothing to eat. You sleeping and you laying right next to roaches. You know what I mean? They so bad they in your VCR tapes. You know what I mean? You can see them. You got ain't no parental figure around. You know what I mean? We fending for self.
Yeah.
6 of us, and I'm the youngest. You know what I mean?
Wow.
So I'm remembering that, and then maybe a little bit of some vagueness of you know, some domestic violence with a stepfather and some of my siblings as well as my mother. So I'm remembering that type stuff. Then we gonna skip into a couple of years of bouncing around to grandparents' homes,
Yes.
trying to figure it out. To 6.5, 7 years old, boom, the system come take us. I'm in foster care.
Wow.
Boom, 7 years old is daylight. Boom, I'm playing with my siblings. We get taken. It's nighttime. I'm in a whole nother part of Cleveland, Ohio. I think I'm in another state because I never even seen nothing that looked like this at 7.
Shit.
So I've never seen this part of life. I'm in what looks like what you see on TV.
Mm-hmm. They just snatched you up.
So once they took me, basically I went from 93rd and Anderson to Bedford Heights.
Okay.
So you understand the dynamic.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I grew up there. They took one of my second to eldest sibling and brought him with me. So at 8, they took him away due to behavior and things. Mm-hmm. So from 8 to 18, this is me becoming into who I'm gonna become because I had to journey into the world for me.
Yeah.
I had no one
that you grew up with, that you knew.
No one. They were all gone.
So you had to just become self.
I had to learn to become self-sufficient, to just learn how to just live because I still had to. In my mind, I had it like at 18, I'm going to find them. But from down to that, I got to figure it out.
You thought that at 8 years old that you were going to go find your siblings?
I knew once I turned 18 because I had started learning a little bit. I was learning quickly as a young. But once I started learning a little bit, I learned that at 18, I didn't have to be bonded to the system any longer. So I'm just like, well, when I turn that, I'll just go try to see what's going on.
Absolutely.
So boom, as we going into it daily, I'm going outside every day of my childhood to teach myself something, figure out something. I'm starting with basketball. Wow. I'm doing all these things. So as I get into teenage years, of course, my family and my friends and the people in the neighborhood are doing these things, smoking and doing these things, but peer pressure never bothered me. I just was my own kid, I guess, because of my background. So I come into about 16, 15. I'm starting to get into a lot of underground hip hop.
Gotcha.
We talking cats from New York like Graf, Straws, D Block, Jada.
Wow.
All these guys. We talking about Texas. We talking about Chameleon there. We talking about Mike Jones. We talking about Slim Thug. Then we taking it to New York again. 50 just hit. You know what I mean? So I'm starting to get familiar with this, and I'm like, man, these punchlines, these dudes. I'm sure you understand what a punchline is,
Absolutely.
but to the people that don't, when they come with these metaphors and these things, to the people that can really understand that and catch that, that is very intriguing rap. Like, it's just like, how is he even coming up with that? So that caught me immediately.
Okay.
I start going from that. I needed more, so I got into battle rap.
Wow.
Listening to, that. We're going to my high school years.
Did you ever want to battle rap?
I did a little bit. I dibble and dabble.
Okay.
But as an adult, I had some opportunities that a couple people, flaked on, things like that. So I haven't had the opportunity. I'm not really trying to go there now. So we get to about 10th grade. After I'm doing the rap, coming to school, they beating on the lockers on the desk. They know I'm about to spit. People coming lining up in the hallway. Everybody being around a little bit, but I wasn't serious. I just knew, like, man, I know them dudes that rap is good. I just wrote some stuff. Let me go to school with a punchline. At least one punchline per verse. And they gonna be like, he raw.
Yeah.
Like, at least one. So I'm doing that. I end up just chalking the rap, right?
Okay.
So mind you, funny story. I'm 17. I'm gonna give it to y'all raw since we on your podcast. This the first time in the naked space.
Yes.
13 years old, I get adopted. My mind state changed.
Okay.
So now I was rebellious, therefore I added their name onto my same name. I didn't swap my name out. So my last name is Edwards Owens.
Okay.
So when my mind changed, when I understood, like, man, am I ever gonna see my family again? Something in me around 13 turned me into like a rebel, and I needed to touch the stove badly because I'm like, this family is too perfect. I'm going out and having to learn the world. But once I go out here as an adult, what's going to happen? Because I'm kind of not knowing what I was, but to say green, but at 13 years old, to think that you're going to be that, but you don't know what that word means. You get what I'm saying? I'm thinking like I'm naked or something, like I'm green or something. Like I need to.
So you felt that?
Yeah.
Wow.
Because every day since 7 years old, I'm learning the world. By day, I'm going outside. So I'm like, steal your parents' cars. I couldn't do the stuff that my friends and stuff at school was doing because I had this good foster family.
Absolutely.
They're still my parents. I just came from his grandma. I just came from the house. You know what I mean?
That's a beautiful relationship.
So I'm like, steal the cars. Do the stuff that you hear about. Like, just try it.
Oh, okay. So you went kind of in the rebellious route.
About 14 years old, I'm like...
just trying to figure it out.
I never had a video game system or none of that till like 11th grade. So I'm like, do this stuff. Like, I not indulge in peer pressure type stuff, but do the stuff, the real stuff. Like, steal the cars, take the... I became like a tech kid, so I started getting into taking the credit cards and doing all these things.
Early.
Just trying to... At 14, because it was like, they've been treating me so well, it's like, this ain't it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? I'm gonna go out here and I'm gonna get screwed over.
Right.
I did these things, learned that it was wrong. I racked up about, once I got caught, which was kind of soon, I never like crashed cars or did nothing, never was really caught in the vehicle. I actually was using my mother's vehicle around like 4 a.m. to about 7 a.m. for about 6 months, going to my bro crib. His mother worked third shift and we was recording a mixtape.
Okay.
In 10th grade.
And that's when you started taking seriously? That was like the first time?
That was just when I tried to get on a mic.
Got you.
So boom. Get past that. I finally get caught on some credit card stuff. I'm still young. I don't know the traces and all these things. Get caught, everything crumble. They take me into a kid's court at first because they like, we love him. We don't want to take him all the way. They take me to a teen court. It's my classmate, so we in here laughing, acting stupid. My mother and sister, I ain't feeling this. Take me out of there. They take me to the joint. I have 14 felonies for that.
Wow.
As a teenager.
Wow.
So I'm naive. I go into, I get my punishments, multiple years. But this is when we get into the part where I'm becoming who I am now.
Okay.
I get on punishment for those crimes, right? You're not going to the park, which you love playing basketball. You're not doing no TV, nothing. You sit in your room. You're grounded. You know what? Walk to the library, which is about 45-minute walk.
Wow.
Get books and read them. So after I walked to the library a couple times, I'm like, I'm not doing this a lot. I need to get the biggest book, shorten up my trip. I get all the Harry Potters and Lord of the Rings.
No.
Just as a curious kid, read them.
Yeah.
All of them. Turn my mind into a journey type guy. Because I'm still this solo kid learning. So I took on that mind state to even my music.
How was your relationships at this time in your life? Like, how are you dealing with friends?
I have people
women?
around. Well, if we gonna say how am I dealing with people, I just simply don't deal with people.
Okay,
I'm who I am, which is real in general. If I bring someone around, they generally appreciate it because of the energy and the vibe. But I generally tend to be myself, protect my energy, hone it, and when I do come out, amazing things happen, like these shows.
Yes.
I do these interviews, but outside of that, if we're gonna speak in one-on-one general terms, it's great because I'm a stand-up cool dude.
And that's now.
Of course.
But back then, was it the same?
No, it just was the same quiet dude, but I didn't know how to have the interpersonal relationships because as a kid, I wasn't taught that.
Exactly.
So through the music career and through my entire life, I learned to have one-on-one. It used to be a time, actually, you asked, and it's funny, when I was starting to get a little bit more of a name on the music scene and multiple people would come up at once.
Ooh.
That's when it became like something is going on and I need to figure it out because I don't know how to convert to say something without feeling bad about taking my attention off of another. Like,
oh, okay. So you couldn't do a group. You were more so one-on-one.
Because I still had to learn how to do the one. So then when it started becoming two and then three and it's like, sometimes people can be demanding of It's my turn. I want to talk now. and it's
And I
like
need you to
they'll just
listen.
start talking into like your ear, and it's but not to really even speak in those terms. Like let's take it there. But what I'm saying is, I don't just have 1,000 friends because one, I'm introverted.
Mm-hmm.
I'm basically in my domain handling business, trying to secure the biggest picture first.
Which is?
This whole generational wealth, whatever I'm
Yes.
gonna do for what I came from nothing, I can't leave that way.
Absolutely.
It's impossible.
Absolutely.
It would be my fault. Who could I look at and blame when I lived my life?
Mm-hmm. 100%.
So
People need to hear that shit.
So we go into I read all them joints.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, back to
Let's
the
go into adulthood. 17.
Mm-hmm.
I leave. I'm getting so rebellious with the fam. You gotta go.
Okay, but they still love you.
Of course.
Okay.
I go to the hood, 75th and Colfax.
Wow.
This is where we come into you hearing these type of names and songs now and things like that. 75th and Colfax. This is where I learned life.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in the jungle now.
17.
I'm right across the street from Garden Valley.
Wow.
And I done came from Bedford Heights for all these years. So
the respect isn't there.
Yeah. I gotta figure out more. I done went from shelter to the jungle. Boom, we get down here. I'm one day just on a journey on a bus. I see a couple of my homies that I went to school with. Mind you, I'm still a creative, trying to figure out the world. I done got this journeyman attitude through these books. See my homies, I'm coming from work. Man, what you about to do? We about to go to this session. I'm like, the session? What's that? They like, man, you want to come? I ain't doing nothing. I'm going to go with y'all. I'm thinking in my head, what's this session y'all talk about? We get over here, right? They dancing, but they wild dope.
Wow.
Mind you, I ain't never attempted. Give me a second. Mind you, I ain't never attempted to be no dancer. I'm just that young kid, that creative that went out and was trying to figure out the world.
Yeah.
I never attempted to be no dancer, no nothing. Everything I did, it just so happened
to flow.
I could do it, and I don't know. I no pops, as I told you, no parental figure around as a kid. So boom, I go with them. We meet a group called DDL, dancers. Bunch of people from around Cleveland, girls, boys. I'm like, whoa, they crumpers. Mind you, this is new.
Wow. What year is this? If you can remember.
This was 8.
Wow. Yeah, crumping was it. Yeah.
I'm like, but my homies was like, this is, you know what I mean? I'm like, whoa, I'm like, this is fire. Like, this is what of course I had seen Rise, and because I'm a creative, like I even, silly ass, I done went to Target, stole Rise, left my book bag. I get home with Rise, they calling me. You got our movie, bring it back and you get your book bag. I'm like, oh, I don't even get to watch the John. I don't even get to watch the John. So,
oh no.
I done seen it. I done been intrigued by it. Now I'm real life in front of 15 crumpers. I'm like, my mind is blowing. Yeah, I'm like, amazing. Okay, I tried this. This is dope, but I don't know how to. So they going, right? They telling me, word in the air, we got this performance in the morning. Da 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 da. I'm like, man, I'll try it. I'll dance. I go for like 30 seconds. They like, he the dopest. Listen, he's dope. We want him to open up in the morning.
Wow.
I just came off the RTA.
And they want you to leave.
Open up. They airtime show on the news in the morning.
What?
This is what they are at this group gathering for, practicing for this show in the morning that they've been doing for months.
And
I just got off the bus. They want me to open it up. I didn't even know I had this.
Yeah.
So boom, we go from that. I danced heavy to the point where it started to become a little bit of a rival with the homies, but we straightened that out. I eventually, at about 17 and a half, almost 18, I took the guy. My family came back and played at Raise Me.
Okay.
My sister was moving. I want to give you my car.
Did they reach out to you?
Yes.
Okay, that's great.
I want to give you my car. My mom, like, sis wants to give you her car, and I want to talk to you as well. Had to talk to my mom. I'm almost about to turn 18. I want you to move back home. We miss you. Wow. So I'm from the jungle.
Back to the
but I still got this mentality. My family, they be going to work and stuff every day. Like, I ain't about to lay around in this like my, you know what I mean, like what's
Absolutely.
going on. So I'm still having this going, you know what I mean, trying to go to do all these things. So I go back. I continue to dance, but I got this car now. Taking the guys on the road, we start expanding. I start taking the name up and down the east, from here to North. I ain't never been on no type of trip. I just stole them cars. That's how I learned how to drive.
What?
So boom, it worked. Never cracked, never none of this stuff. So I expand the guys' names. We did this until about 2010 and a half, and something like it got to the point where I could see like it wasn't gonna really be the life for me.
Okay.
Kind of thing. So it was like I told my homies that I raised, which is the A Bills, who does my camera work now, the Paul Carpenter who leads the entire crunk movement in Cleveland. Like I told these guys, here, take the legacy.
Wow.
I'm moving on. I gotta figure something else out.
And that's when you left?
That's when I left.
Gotcha.
That was 10 and a half. We come into 11. I found out I got a daughter on the way.
First kid.
So I'm like, I can't just be walking, doing this day walker thing every day. End of 11, I'm like, you know what? I was doing this joint back in high school, and I was like, wait, all right. Like, I had a little bit of respect. I think I can put some words together. I'm sitting on 75th and Colfax in the driveway with my uncle. He be with me to this day, almost all my videos. I'm like, I'm about to rap. Like, I'm really about to rap this time. Like,
what age were you?
At this time, I was about, what was I, about 20?
Got you.
I was like, I'm about to rap all the way. And he was like, man, let's do it.
Okay.
I literally, from that day, I never stopped writing to 2018.
Wow.
And just put everything I garnered into it.
So that's 2010 to 2018?
That was the end of 11, so basically 12.
End of 11, so 12 to 2018. Let's talk about that for a quick second. What was that like? How did that, what were you doing? How were you moving? Because even before you spoke on, you not just going to sit around.
12, I come into music. I non-stop, I hit him with 3 mixtapes back to back to back. Actually, October, November, December 11. That was just me freestyling on all the industry beats I could find, about 15 per tape, just to put something out there and be like, this, I can rap. That was 3 tapes in a row. So that's why I say 12. 12 was when I introduced to my couple guys around me, man. They like, man, he could really rap. Let's try to get him bigger in the city. So I'm like, man, what we got to do? We looking around. EV.
Shout
I'm
out
like,
EV.
let me DJ EV.
Shout
I'm
out
like,
EV.
boom, let me get with him. I know he really show love if somebody about they joint and they coming on some business. So I'm like, I put together this project called Freshman Year. My name was Young Holla.
Okay.
I came into 12. I'm like, I ain't make no music. That's why I say I started 12. Those were all freestyles. I come into 12. I said, if I'm about to introduce myself to the whole Cleveland, they don't want to hear no freestyle. I got to make a song now. Like all that stuff I was doing in high school and all that stuff at the end of 11, now I got to really try it.
And make your own original.
I start just, what I was doing was I made a Twitter with them freestyles and all that. And from about 12 to 15, I racked up about 300,000 tweets spamming people.
With the music.
Every time I put something else out, I'm going to at least,
grind.
I'm going so hard every day that I got to get Twitter blocked every day. Every day. As soon as they let me out, I got to get back blocked. And when they go to Facebook, I gotta max out the people that in the joint that I tag. Or when you get like a group and you can get it to like 100, I gotta get it to 100, but like 50 of them. I gotta go. I gotta max it. I'm talking about I did this I had phones where the screen stopped moving. You couldn't even scroll it no more. It wasn't even responding to the touch.
Wow.
So it was like I went and this was 12. So we get to EV.
Early.
I cut my hair into a box. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna drop this young. I picked up Shuicide.
Okay.
I said, I heard you pronounce it the way you, but that's okay. It's Shuicide, and it stands for a group of individuals that are gonna kick it till death. And the reason I use Shuicide is because coming from nothing and having to wear my sister's shoes and things like this, I do collect shoes as an adult. So it
That
just
makes
is a
so
double
much more
entendre
sense.
in a sense.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So coming into 12, I do the freshman year with EV, and it's dope joints. You know what I mean? 18 of them. Some freestyle, some original. I didn't spam so much. I ended up spamming a guy who was on the Carter 2, a producer from Cleveland named Matlock.
Oh, shout out Matlock, because my dad actually knows him. Shout out to him.
Matlock, and that's my brother to this day.
Wow.
That's a guy that's in my close squad.
Yeah.
Which is only like 4 people.
Yeah.
So I end up spamming him. Man, what is this? Why this dude? He listened to it. Whoa, you from Cleveland? Are you? Let's link. I want to chat.
Wow.
End up carrying it and someone that's been mentoring me for many years, and that happened in 12.
So, and I just want to ask you this briefly. Do you think that same format can work in 2021 for a newer artist?
The spamming thing?
The spamming, just going hard and just until somebody starts.
I don't feel like in 21, not personal one-to-one thing, you can spam massively, but one-to-one people are much more attention deprived and brutal. It'll be the stuff I was getting every now and then, every time now. Like every now and then I get a tell your mama to, you know what I mean? Don't tag me, tag your mama to suck my. They'll get it every time. What? You better. They'll go crazy on people doing that now, and I don't know if they can do the one-on-one tag type joint, but if they get a good product and spam like musically or spam video wise or something, that could possibly work. But what they got to be aware of is people create their own expectancy. So eventually they'll be like, nah, we want a lot of videos and music from you, and you probably don't want to work at that pace for a long time. So you don't want to work against yourself.
So do you have any advice for the kind of, because you're at a different level than you are back then.
It's been step by step, but I appreciate it.
For sure. But do you have like an advice for somebody in 2021 that wants to kind of get that grind going?
I would say learn everything you need to know about getting a record together before you put it out, because still to this day, and I'm gonna speak it honestly on whichever camera, a lot of people believe that you go to the studio with an MP3 you either stole off of YouTube or that you received from a producer or whatever. You take that to the studio, have the engineer load it up, drop your vocals, have them do their ragu mix or whatever, and be like, it's ready for the people. That's cool. But if you actually hit that producer up, get the open tracks for the beat, which are the songs sound by sound, so the engineer can control every sound, and you get it fully mixed and mastered so the way it sounds professionally on any system, the people will appreciate it. Yes, they will be like, okay, this sounds just like what I've just been listening to, which was the industry sound. Instead of this sounds like, why I gotta crank myself? I ain't getting that thump like I need. Like, what's wrong with this dude's song? Even though your song might be hard,
it's not.
You cutting yourself short.
Yes,
that's what I'm saying.
Even in the clubs, because that's
that too. I used to have I call them paper thin Jones.
Talk to me.
I would say from about 12 to about 15, I had the paper thin Jones, but I figured out the problem around 16.
Wow, okay. So it took you almost 4 years.
Yeah, so it was like me basically bouncing from engineer to engineer, and some were still better than others, but they still didn't know exactly what I needed or what I was looking for. And I got the knowledge to know what I needed from Matlock, who came into at 12.
Wow, okay.
So I come to 13, freshman year out on live mixtapes. I come into 13. I'm like, you know what? In 12, I was doing everything that I feel any artist should do, which is entertaining what's going on in your city. I went to the Ohio Hip Hop Awards in Columbus. I did all these things trying to figure out, touch, and see what's going on. I took my guys. So 13, I'm like, you know what? I saw guys winning awards and doing all these things. I'm like, if I want to get my name, I got to do something. You know what I mean? I got to do at least win something or do something. I start getting in my bag, you know what I mean? And creating crazy, like writing nonstop, but original at this point. Having some good records. Cleveland, our city, I think was around that time. Peace of My Love with Miss Crazy T. And I end up getting Ohio Lyricist of the Year 13.
Wow. In a year, you set your mind to it and you
knocked it out. But I literally put out probably 100 records from between freestyles and originals.
Wow, okay.
Just
the work
hungry,
ethic always been there, I see.
I think it was super drive until about 16.
Okay, so yeah, let's get into the 16 and then the 18 where you needed to take a
When
break.
13, 14, 15, those were lyrical years, and I would say underground type music. 15, I link with Mr. Peter Parker. 16, we come in. Yeah, 15,
That's
I'm
huge.
down. I get DJ K Nice, who retired from the station. He has his own thing going on. Shout out Nice Cole. He invites me to 107.9. I want you to freestyle on the station radio. And I'm still a young artist. So I'm getting these opportunities. Peter Parker's first day on the job at 107.9. I got a starter John on. I always was different with the fashion to make myself stand out as well, and the hair.
Yeah.
So I see Peter Parker. He got on the starter John. We create relativity. I'm like, man, I'm such and such. He seen me in there spitting. He like, man, let's work. Da-da-da. I'm like, I got a mixtape now, Achilles tongue. We get that joint. 15, 16. I come in. I'm kind of stagnant. I'm like, man, I thought Achilles tongue was my best work. Like, but it was still a paper thin John. I'm just thinking it's a better paper thin. You know what I mean? I done got tricked by my engineer. So 16, I'm like, I gotta figure it out. Like I want a little bit more. You know what I mean? So I had this song in my head. I was riding the bus. I had this song in my head. Hit them folk.
Okay, that big one.
I'm gonna hit them, and I ain't have a beat. But I just keep playing it in my head. I dig in the email. I had like 12. My guy from Cleveland, I used to ball with him back when I was in. Everything I learned from childhood, I took in adulthood. So I was different with the ball too. Like,
oh, you was nice?
Different. Any guy that's on the scene. 13, I win MVP of the Rappers DJ game.
You just won that again.
I was showing footage from
got
13.
Got you.
I've won it twice over the years. But that was my first game playing in that dynamic. Win the MVP.
Yeah, absolutely.
34 points.
Yeah,
all type of stuff. And they like, okay, now he comes in with the rap. Now come on, man.
He can do it all.
What's going on? So that created friction. We ain't gonna speak on it.
Oh, did it?
Of course. You gotta understand these things. So we get to 16. I'm sitting with that in my head. I dig in, I get that beat. I put them together. I end up reaching out to a couple guys from Cleveland. I had some kids that was already going crazy. I reached out to a few more. They was just like, man, we like the song, we like the beat and everything, and it just start within like, I think I dropped it in like say end of February, so March. I would say like May it was gone. Like I would say like May I was sitting at the crib getting like 10,000 TikTok videos a day.
Wow.
Just watching it on my phone.
And that's early TikTok.
Yeah, this was when it was called Musically.
See, that's history because I didn't even know that. But I did see that. I did. Yeah. Okay. That's crazy. So, how did you kind of get that out there, though? Like, that song?
Basically,
what were you doing?
Around the time, it was... I don't know why the dance wave was heavy, but around that time, it was like this I Heart Memphis kid was going around making Hit the Quans and all type of stuff. But I wouldn't even... When I did make the record, I wasn't thinking in the sense of the dance Hit Them Folks. I was thinking of some other stuff, some street stuff. But it was just like... It panned so well, why would I pass up this opportunity? Just to be prideful or something? Like, I ain't trying to impress nobody. I don't be around nobody. So, I'm like, you know what? They taken to it. It go with the dance and all this is popular. I did see a couple guys, Michi and these guys down in Atlanta, but they didn't have songs to dance to as far as like for that dance. They just was dancing to everybody's records. So it just became a perfect combination, man. And every kid that heard it, it just picked up more and more. If a kid see a big popular kid doing it, you got to think they're going to have 60 kids do it.
Absolutely.
Then they probably got 30 kids that's going, you know what I mean? It trickles down. Eventually it started getting to all races, you know what I mean? It went crazy. Like I think I got probably on what they call TikTok now, over 1 million videos. Wow. But as far as views, it's unheard of, you know what I mean? And across YouTube and everything. The initial guy and I did have a guy from Texas. He wore pink and neon pink and green shoes on YouTube. His video got 10 million plays.
Wow.
So we went. Were
you able to capitalize on those things?
Yeah. And this is when the labels came around.
Okay.
So 16 was when the labels came in play.
And how was that? How was that roller coaster?
That situation was that was when I really sat down and was able to like try to understand and analyze things because I'm new to it. And I'm like, you know what, I want to do it right and it's fast. And honestly, that's when I started smoking weed because I'm like, I got a show almost every other day or whatever. I'm like, things is happening. I don't want to. I heard about stuff. I'm like, I don't want that stuff to happen. And it was a single situation. I'm thinking to myself, I'm super hip hop lyrical, Shuicide Holla. I'm not dance, man. I'm this journey. Like, I don't want just that. What are these? If these labels are talking about just that, I don't know how I would sit with that. So that was a lot of things on my mind. So I'm like, for 6-0, I'm like, for 6 figures, and to stay there and be somewhere alongside a iHeart Memphis or something that's not going to get me to the sway in the mornings and the platforms I need to, I don't feel like it's worth it.
Right.
Of course, it made a few guys around me feel some ways.
So you passed up on the bag.
Yes.
Wow.
If I had
for the integrity of what you were looking to do.
If I hadn't, there would be no Good Box EP. There would be no Out of the Barrel. There would be no Butter. There would be no 50/50. There would be nothing from all 17 to now.
In your arsenal.
All things that make me who I am today.
As a person.
Exactly.
Not just an artist.
Because from 16 till, from that situation in 17 till now, literally, I would say after 8, at the end of 17, when the tragic situation happened, I lost a close homie. From 18, when I sat and really truly introspected, when I moved from Cleveland, Ohio, and had to really understand, like, you know what I mean, what's going on. I turned down them situations. Of course, I lost a lot of, I would say, pseudo love, because you got to think people were like, well, we wanted you to do it. We don't care how you felt about it.
Absolutely.
Because of what it would have done for us, in a sense.
Absolutely.
Care less of
how it
the
will
source.
Make you feel.
Even though it's what will get them what they. So it's just
where we need to go, but.
So basically, it's like, all right, I'll take that. Let me see who I really am. So from 55th and Hamlet, which was, I came into 19 prepared, from that and everything alongside it till now, they've been giving me the raw soul, pure me.
Wow. Okay.
Everything before then, I was trying to find who I am sitting here.
So you actually feel like you found yourself after
I had to go through a lot of tragedy.
All of this tragedy and the label situation.
A lot of that, because I had to, and more so. And moving.
Wow, opened your mind up to so much. And
to everything.
To who you were.
Exactly. And honestly, what I can say is, before when I was trying to figure out the contract situations, and I started to dibble dabble and tab in it, because I won't go too deep, but I was doing something with it as far as maintaining myself. So when I started to see, like, man, let me see exactly what's going on, that's honestly, I could say, the first time I really felt what depression is.
Wow.
Because you got to think, my whole life I was just trying to look forward. Let me see, what do I got to catch up to? I'm this kid at 7 that's thrown.
You didn't have time to be depressed. You was
exactly.
just moving so
every
much.
day. So once I tapped that, it made me, I don't know if they were walls that I was building or whatever, but it just threw them back, and it just, I sat and sunk into my couch and thought of everything that happened back to even before I went into the system. So it was like, my family.
That self-reflection.
My family, it's not great. Like, I'm thinking, because I done made a world. So I'm like, all right, life is real now. Losing homies, I didn't get back to this family till 18. I'm losing them left and right. I'm like, whoa. I had to give it to them raw. And now this is what the people, they feel it now. Like, you can listen to a song and be like, damn.
Yeah,
is
let's
this
talk
nigga
about
in a
this
car,
song
like,
that you just dropped.
Mount Rushmore.
Mount Rushmore. So, what was the inspiration behind that one? Because that one's a deep song.
Mount Rushmore, I feel like, with me coming from literally the ground, being born January 13th, a Capricorn, which is the GOAT. Simple, with me coming literally from the ground, non-stop, even though what I went through, I ran through it with a cold shoulder, took it into the heights, took it back to all these things, and was able to carry and help people along the way, still into becoming who I am today, getting into the music, being able to still maneuver and be who I am as a staple and do all these different things across the scene, go from nothing, go from picking up the mic, telling my uncle in the driveway, I want to rap, to 16, 107, hitting up, we need you on Summer Jam. Wow. To, that's 4 years.
Yeah.
To labels, I'm turning down, I can't, no. to losing people to coming back to 19. I drop a record in March. I haven't shown my face, period, since the end of 17. I drop a record March of 19, which is almost a year and a half later. October of 19, I put 250 people for an album they hadn't heard yet.
Wow.
And I don't even live in Cleveland no more.
Wow, the love.
So it was like, nah, we feel this nigga. Now he's important here.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way around it.
Yeah.
So they hadn't heard. This was for the listen party. They was going off of 55th and Hamlet, which was the pain I endured and put into it from 18 that I set on. So 55th and Hamlet, amazing. I listen to it to this day and don't even understand how I created it.
Wow.
A lot of the things I listened to came from dark places. So when I do this listen party and I drop the Out of the Barrel and give them this visual of this guy in this diamond track jacket, and I use the diamond as symbolization for the simple fact it comes from the dirt, and you have to shine it into something one of one in a sense. So I use that. You got this guy coming out of this barrel of crabs in a sense into this. So the symbolism is, you understand, we're in a circuit where the more light one gets, one feels theirs is dimming.
Absolutely. And it's not the case. That's not the truth.
But it's a mentality, because what I do understand at the same sense is we came from that environment where it's survival. It's not about living mentality. I have to survive. So what you receive and I didn't get it, I could have got it if I just got to you.
Wow. You literally just broke down the hood. That's literally the hood mentality.
So with that mind state, exactly. So with me understanding that, taking, because I've been there, it's like I just got to move the way I move. You know what I mean? And I got this covered with this guy coming out of these barrels. So now I'm starting to give people the visuals of what they understand happens. And they like, nah, you coming with the music too. And like, it's there. I have the love again. I did episode 1. We brought out another 250. It's just like, at this point, they understand I don't have to be here. They know what I'm doing. They know it's pure. They know it's from love, because since the King chip, which is, I would say, 6 to like 9, Cuddy 9 to like 11, he's still doing, these guys still are doing their things, but I'm talking about the reigns of when Cleveland was like, yo, what's going on, day and night. The Kales 11 to like 14. We at 21 now. Who impact and a hold on the culture of Cleveland, Ohio? So Chip had it.
Yeah.
Cuddy had one.
Still gets that love to this day.
Exactly. No matter if he lives here or not.
Absolutely.
That's why Mount Rushmore comes up hard. Because I'm number 4.
Okay.
If we're going to speak in that manner.
That makes a lot more sense.
From what I've done from 12 to now, and all of the awards I've been through, all of the accolades I've achieved. I'm talking about countless of things, the ties and the bonds that I've made, the things that the love and the hate, the good and the bad. I took the lashings and everything to be able to create another generation of creatives to move forward. That puts me there.
I love it. Okay, so this is the first time we learned so much from Suicide. It's Shoe. Like
a tennis shoe right on your foot.
Shuicide Holla. I appreciate you. This is kind of the last segment we do at this show, the Kingtif Network. Anything, I know you be getting so much off your chest, but if you have anything that you want to leave with us before we see you again.
Yeah, I do. Everything I do, everything I represent, you know what I mean? Everything I push is for the East Side, period. And it ain't even just about Cleveland, Ohio. It can be the East Side of any state, any country where you live. The East Side is where I'm born, raised, and rep, and it's in me. It's embedded.
Love it.
So the East Side, shout out the whole East Side. Shout out the whole Cleveland, Ohio, the Kingtif Network, man. It's Shuicide. Any social media platform you can find at SHUICIDEHOLLA. Hit me up, man. I respond. I rock with the people.
Yes,
I'm reachable. You know what I mean? And I do a ton of things for the culture just off the love, because it's supposed to be done. You're supposed to lead. You're supposed to be that person that you needed when you were younger.
It's not always about the money. It's about the impact that it has.
Exactly, and that's what puts me at number 4 on that Mount Rushmore.
And Cleveland, Ohio. Man. I can't even say nothing better. That was an amazing episode. I appreciate you. Much love to you and everything that you got going on and everything you got coming.
Continue to rock,
and we gonna rock for sure. And we out of here.